Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video. All right, so Amazon coming with the heat. So today we're going to talk about Outer Range. So Outer Range is a supernatural sci-fi mystery thriller on the Amazon Prime Video streaming service. And it's starring Josh Brolin as a Wyoming rancher named Royal Abbott. The main cast is rounded out by Lily Taylor playing his wife Cecilia Abbott, Tamara Podemski as Sheriff Deputy Joy, Tom Pelfrey as Perry Abbott, that would be Royal Abbott's son, Imogen Potts as a mysterious drifter named Autumn, Lewis Pullman as Rhett Abbott, Noah Reed as Billy Tillerson, Sean Sipos as Luke Tillerson, Isabella Areza, I think is how you say her name, as Maria Olivares, which is Rhett Tillerson's love interest, and Olive Abercrombie as Amy Abbott. Also, you get a recurring role as Will Patton as Wayne Tillerson. So this series is interesting. So starting out in the beginning, you just start out seeing Josh Brolin's Royal Abbott basically shirtless in what looks to be a ranch at night, carrying something that he's dropping off and telling a story about a character with a sickle who basically slices the cosmos into our reality and another. And as he's telling the story, you find out later that this is the story of Kronos. So we know that Kronos is the god or the father of Zeus and the pantheon of Greek gods. So we're told that this scene is happening in the present. So then we go backward 3 days and see kind of where all of this started and how the events of 3 days ago culminated into whatever is happening in this scene. So then we see Royal getting on his horse in the morning, basically going out for a ride and checking on his cattle. And we get this really strange foreboding, rumbling sound that seems to be calling out to. So we know that this is a Sunday morning because as he gets home, his family's preparing for church and they're letting him know that he needs to hurry up and get cleaned up. And we see that Royal has actually lost about 2 hours worth of time in what he thought was just a simple ride. Apparently he has lost some time, and that's, obviously troubling him in a way. Now, I like this scene because it shows that they're mostly just a normal, ranching family. Like they're not, anybody to be, nothing special about them. And yet, little things that you get to see as the episode goes on just reveal that they're much more than that. So when we get to the church scene, which I found very interesting, you see that Royal is in the back. So the rest of the family seems to be very participating, in the church, as small as it may be. But Royal seems to not really be participating in any real way. So I have a feeling that him and God are on the outs, but we'll get to that later. So after church, we see that Amy, Royal's granddaughter, has painted him a little picture, and it's very sweet. But what is kind of saddening about it is that we know that Amy's missing her mother. In particular, she is not there, and that actually gets explained later on in the episode. But essentially, her father, Royal's son, is a single father. So later on that evening, we get to see Rhett Abbott, who is Royal's younger son. And he has a rodeo, I guess you would call this a bull ride. And, he's very serious about it. His family's there to support him because Royal, who was also in the rodeo when he was a young man. So I guess he's trying to follow in Dad's footsteps. And, the bull is obviously like super wild. So, he doesn't really do great. Like he doesn't have a fantastic showing, but he does give it his best. And his family definitely is supportive of him. Like they don't berate him or tell him that he didn't do good enough. They're actually, pretty on it as far as telling him, look, you did the best you could, but that bull that they gave you to ride was not, not the best as far as, giving the crowd a good show. So I found that interesting. So we get a kind of strange scene with Will Patton's Wayne Tillerson, and his role in the show is also not really fully explained until episode 2, but essentially he is also being called by whatever is calling to Royal, and he even goes as far, I guess, as to call the Taylor Ranch and say some rather strange things. And he informs Cecilia that he believes something is coming and something is happening, but he doesn't give any real, details about that. So the next day, we see that, the family's up like usual on their routine, counting their cows, and they notice that they are missing 2 cows. So Royal sends his 2 sons out to basically investigate where they went, only to find that there's no holes in the fences. And, there's no real visible way for the cows to have gotten out. And as they are investigating, they are approached by a young lady who calls herself Autumn and says that she's a poet. And, Royal surmises that she's from Boulder, Colorado, which she agrees with. But I noticed that she's very flippant when talking to a man such as Royal. In particular, in the way that she offers him money in order to camp on their ranch. And she's very adamant about camping on their ranch in particular, even though the Tillerson Ranch is, literally next door. She's very adamant about that. She tells them that she knows that they need the money, and she knows Royal's name. So that's not terribly strange, but it is just very odd in her approach. So then we're greeted to the not so likable Tillerson sons, and they're basically serving Royal with some papers that indicate that they are in fact a mile over the property line, in which case there's a mile of the Abbott Ranch that is, according to a surveyor, extending on the Tillerson Ranch. Now, we don't know if this is true or not, but we do know that, a mile of property is a lot of property. So obviously, the Royal is not happy about this. But Royal feels like he can deal with this later. So, he's back to the task at hand, which is finding the 2 cows that they're missing. And then he happens upon a perfect circle in his ranch. So it's a hole that's in the shape of a perfect circle. And there doesn't seem to be any bottom in sight to it. And when he sticks his hand in, he has a vision of an event that will happen in the near future. And what's interesting to me about this is that something happens to his hand as he sticks it in, like it's like burned of some sort. But when he pulls it out, it's immediately healed. So when he returns home, the events of his vision then play out as he saw them. And we see that Sheriff Deputy Joy is sitting in their kitchen and relaying to them that the FBI is now going to effectively stop the search for Royal's daughter-in-law, Rebecca, Perry's wife, who had gone missing. So they're going to stop the search, and because of how much time has passed with no leads. Now, my theory on this is twofold. So first of all, I think that the 2 cows that they're missing fell into the hole. And secondly, I think that Rebecca might have also fallen into the hole as well. So we see that Royal is very focused on this giant hole in the middle of the ranch. And, he can't stop thinking about it to the point where he has to return to it. Even trying to rationalize its existence by, trying to fill it with dirt with a shovel, even though it's massive, trying to cover it with a tarp. And it's almost like he's in, the denial stage of grief when it comes to this hole. Then he really comes to realize that hole, if, the Tillerson's claim is true, then that hole would then be taken away from him and his ranch once that mile of land is seized. And as he seems to be at his wit's end with this hole, a large bison appears with arrows sticking out of its hide. So, as he realizes that this hole isn't going anywhere, he goes to see Autumn. And, he's basically telling her, look, you need to stay, on this side of the property, because he doesn't want her to fall in the hole, obviously. And she says that she's going to be careful, and she kind of continues just being flippant, asking him about what would it cost for him to sell this particular piece of land. And he informs her that the land had been in his wife's family for over 100 years and that they've never entertained a single offer. And she's like, yeah, but that's your wife, what about you? And I feel like this really dovetails into the conversation that the granddaughter has with grandmother about how her and Royal met. In particular, the idea that he has no memories before he was 9 and he just kind of appeared on the ranch. So what I'm thinking is that maybe the hole at some point was smaller and over time has gotten larger, because it doesn't make any sense for Royal to not have any memories of his family and just to have popped up on the ranch just from nowhere. Plus the hole seems to be calling out to him. So definitely looking forward to seeing what's going on there. So Rhett and Perry then decide to go and get a drink at the bar, basically to kind of just drown their sorrows after being told that the FBI is going to stop searching for Rebecca. Then we have Royal and Cecilia having a really just honest talk with each other about the idea that Rebecca is probably gone. They don't really go into how or why, because I don't think they know, but Cecilia really does believe that Rebecca is gone and that she's not coming back. And we get to see Royal and Cecilia really talk about their beliefs, and not in any real extended way, but Royal is not of the belief that any of this is God's plan or that there even is a God, and Cecilia is very much a believer. And we kind of we see that even though they're not necessarily agreeing on the existence of God, it doesn't necessarily stop them from loving each other or from being together. And I think that in of itself is really beautiful, especially in a time currently where if you don't agree with another person, then you can't really have a relationship with them, just based on the idea of how the culture has been going. And in this scene, you definitely see that that's not what creates a relationship, is a shared belief, but more so a shared love between two people. Then we go back to Rhett and Perry, and they're talking about, their dad being very single-minded in the way that he does, his business with the ranch, and that, Perry doesn't necessarily want Rhett to give up on the rodeo at any point, and he wants him to promise him, but Rhett wants Perry to move on from his single-minded focus on his wife, who's been gone for quite some time. And of course that brings up some feelings, and Perry has to go outside because he's just not really feeling the conversation. And that's when things go sideways, as because Perry's really trying to handle his liquor, and it's just not going well, and he throws up, and then he gets into a fist fight with one of the Tillerson. And this is just when Rhett is rekindling an old flame with a high school sweetheart, Maria, who he's really just gotten the courage to approach, and now he has to get in the way of this fight. So as the fight progresses, Rhett hits Trevor so hard that he loses his belt buckle, and the fight's pretty much over. I mean, it's obvious that Rhett is the superior fighter in this particular situation, and so they think that it's resolved. But then Trevor decides that he's gonna start mouthing off at Perry about his wife, and that's when all hell breaks loose, and we see Perry literally just go into a berserk rage and beat Trevor to death. Now we have Perry and Rhett basically thrown Trevor's dead body into the truck and are driving back home, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Then when they finally get home, I mean, say what you will, I do love how the family just kind of rallies together. Like, you see Royal like, look, we're going to take care of this. He tells Perry exactly what to do. Shut up, stay quiet, stay invisible. Me and Rhett, we're going to go take care of this. And then we get a knock at the door. Once the Tillersons realize that their brother is missing, and I guess they talked to a couple of people at the bar, and they told them that Rhett and Trevor had gotten into it. Now, obviously, I don't really know how this leads them to believe that something happened between Rhett and their brother after the fight, because as we plainly see, after the fight with Rhett, Trevor is still alive. Now, what gets me about this and what kind of makes Perry look like super guilty is when they approach the house. Like, he's not as angry as he should be, especially when they're talking about barging into their house. Like, any normal person would have been wrecking shop immediately once that happens, because you don't just, enter another person's home. Like, I don't care what you think has happened. That's not how this works. And what exacerbates this whole thing is Amy. Oh my God, like, I'm really wondering if this child is like special, if she needs to be tested. Like, she is just like, Dad, water, Dad. Like, shut up and go to bed. Like, why are you here? And she's just making it that much more difficult. And, I love when he starts flicking the lights, letting his dad and his brother know that they're at the door, and they just immediately know. Like, I just really enjoy this whole scene because of the tension, but I just feel like he should have been a little bit more fiery and telling them to get the hell off his porch. Then these two little disrespectful fools decided they're gonna break into this man's barn. Again, just the sheer and utter disrespect, like they own something, is crazy to me. So then these fools, continue to be as belligerent as they can possibly be, even to the point where now they are inspecting horse crap to figure out where Rhett is. Like, I still don't understand the idea behind this little investigation of theirs, but it is getting to be a little bit much. So now it's a race between Dad and Perry and the Tillerson brothers to basically get the body dealt with and, disposed of. So the body falls off of Royal's horse. Royal's horse leaves because, Royal's horse doesn't like the hole anyway. So now Royal, we know where Royal's taking this body. He's taking it to the hole because there ain't nothing coming out of there. So he is literally at this point trying to drag this body and carry it to the hole before the two Tillerson brothers can find him. And we see that in Royal's rush to get the body out of there, he is going through the fence, and he inadvertently rips his shirt and gets cut on his abdomen, so that he's obviously leaving evidence behind, including his shirt. So now he's shirtless and bleeding, carrying this body, and he finally gets to the hole. And as he's finally gotten the body down into the hole, here comes Autumn coming up on him. She's always just right out the blue, just on somebody. And she's asking him what that is. He's saying he don't know, but she's like, well, you threw a body down there, so you must know something. And, then she starts going on about the Greek god Kronos, repeating what we heard in the first couple minutes of the episode. And, just as, Royal thinks it's all good, she throws him in the hole, bruh. Like, straight up in the hole. So either she knows something about that, or she's just experimenting. I don't know what it is, but she throws him directly in the freaking hole. And that's where the episode ends. So I'm going to recap the next episode as well, because it's just too much happened in this for me to recap both in one video. So we'll see you on the next one. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comment section below. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace. Want to give a big 8-Bit Heroes welcome to Holy Shnikes. Welcome to the 8-Bit Heroes family. Big shouts out to you.